Before I can code, I need to set up my motors and sensors under the Robot tab. If I'm in Natural Language VEX Cortex, I should see these three options: motors, analog, and digital. This is basically where I teach the Cortex what is plugged into it and where it's plugged in, because it won't do me much good to turn on motors if it doesn't know where the motors are plugged in. So during this process, we're telling the Cortex what it has plugged into it and in what port. The Cortex has got a bank of analog ports, which are ports for things that have variable inputs like potentiometers, line followers, light sensors, and sonar sensors. The VEX Cortex has also got a bank of digital ports for things that can either be on or off and not variable, such as LEDs, jumper clips, limit switches, and bump switches. And finally, there's a bank of motor ports, which are for motors. There's only 2 ports that are for 2-pin motors, the rest are for 3-pin motors. So if you've got 2-pin motors, you'll need to use the motor controllers as adapters for those 3-pin ports. Right now I'm typing in a name for each of the motors that I'm plugging in. I'm putting the right motor in port 1 and the left motor in port 10 because those are my 2-pin ports. I've got to identify what type of motor it is, and if I want, I can reverse the motors, which I can talk about later. Next, I click over to my analog tab and I type in a name for my analog sensors. In this case, I'm just going to put in a potentiometer, and then I've also got to specify that this is actually a potentiometer. Finally, I head over to the digital tab and I type in the names of all of my digital inputs, my limit switch, my bump switch, and in this case I'm going to put in an LED as well. Both the limit switch and bump switch are classified as touch sensors, and the LED is classified as VEX LED. When I've typed all of my inputs in here, I hit apply and OK, and I generate Pragma statements. These Pragma statements are really important because the names that I just gave to all of these inputs and outputs and motors are the names that I'm going to refer to for the rest of the code every time I specify a variable. For example, when I put in a start motor command and I am trying to refer to the right motor, I need to type in right motor exactly the same way that I did in my motors and sensors setup with a capital M. And if I type this in differently, it's going to give me an error. So now I'm going to try it without that capital M and show you what it looks like when we put one of these variables in a way that is different from what our Pragma statements say. And you can see I get the little yellow warning that says that I typed it in wrong, and it's pretty smart, so it's trying to correct me. But that's how you set up your motors and sensors. Next up, we'll begin coding by learning how to write pseudocode.